The fact that you're full of faults doesn't mean you have to stop. Your memory systems, the hippocampus looks inside your memory systems to see what it is that you want to have happen based on your understanding of the world. So you're in a motivated state, but you have certain expectations that make sense within that state. So the hippocampus is watching what you think is going to happen. But remember, that's motivated, it's not just expectation. And then the hippocampus is also looking at the world. It's looking at an interpretation of the world because you can't help but interpret the world. But fundamentally, the hippocampus is looking inside you and outside you. And then it's seeing if what's happening inside and what's happening outside are the same, which means you know what you're doing and you know where you are. And if they're the same, so if it detects a match, then the hippocampus inhibits the amygdala and the hypothalamus, roughly speaking. Now what it actually seems to do, there's a little circuit in your brainstem called the reticular activating circuit. And it's the thing that turns your brain on at night if you're sleeping and you hear a noise that you shouldn't hear. It's the reticular activating system way down in your brainstem, puts your cortex into a high arousal state and poof, you're conscious.
If you want to be successful, then you have to get used to failing, because failure is one of the greatest tools of all time in your journey to success. Failure should be one of the greatest things that you do, because every time you fail, that is a great opportunity for you to learn something new and grow and adapt to the environment around you so that anything you do will be possible. You'll be able to overcome anything because you've dedicated so much time and energy and effort into one task, your success. And when you fail, you're not going to look at it as a complete and utter destruction, but you're going to look at it as merely as a roadblock so that you can get over it and keep going forward and learn something new and use that information from your failure to help you with your success. So many people have said throughout their lives that the greatest thing to happen to their life is their failures. Nobody ever remembers their failures, but they just see that successful individual that they are because they failed often and they failed boldly. As long as you're failing like that, then you will be all right, because that means you're putting in a great effort. You're trying as hard as you can, and failure is okay, because as long as you fail and get back up, that's all that matters. But the moment you decide to fail and stay down and give up, that's when it's game over, and you should never do that. Always get up, no matter how hard, because it is worth it in the end.
You can go there and you can learn all this, and you might think, well, why should you learn it? Well, you learn it to get a job, or you learn it to get good grades, or you learn it to get a degree, and that's all nonsense. The reason that you come to university to be educated is because there is nothing more powerful than someone who is articulate and who can think and speak. Power, and I mean power of the best sort. It's authority and influence and respectability and competence. And so you come to university to craft your highest skill, and your highest skill is to be found in articulated speech. If you're a master at formulating your arguments, you win everything. And better than that, when you win everything, everyone around you wins too. Because to transform yourself into, let's consider your transformation into something approximating the logos, it means you shine a light on the whole world. Well, there's nothing more exciting to do than that. There's nothing better you can possibly do. And to think that you're coming to university to be, trained to have a job, it's like, great, that's a hell of a lot better than being unemployed and covered with Cheeto dust while you're snacking away in front of your video game in the basement. These words that are bandied about, like vision and leadership, you can drill down into them very hard and start to make some sense out of them if you're willing to grapple with them at the level of detail. And I do a lot of that in this book, because a lot of it is about orienting yourself in your life. And so here's something, for example. We know that, imagine that you have your employees write out a business plan for their own development, right? So the plan would be, how can I become a better employee? And then you have half your employees do that, and the other half you have write out a different plan, which is, how can I put my life together properly? And then you wait a year and you measure the performance of the two groups. Is the people who make the life plan outperform the people who make the business plan? And that's really quite a stunning finding, really. It's not what you'd expect. And what it means is that if you're going to be effective at work, then you should first of all be effective in your life. And even more importantly, if you have a vision for the direction of your life and your job is serving that purpose, then instantly your job becomes motivating. Because you might be sitting there and thinking, well, why am I doing this repetitive and rather dull task with these people that I'm not particularly interested in? Well, it's a matter of mimicry. For me to feel empathy for you, I have to see the world through your eyes. And I do that with my body. What I do technically is I attempt to determine what your goal is. And I do that by observing well, your nonverbal behavior substantially, your verbal behavior as well, especially the direction of your eyes. And I get some sense of what you're focused on as a consequence of that. And because of that, I can also focus on that. And if I do the same thing, then my body reacts the same way yours does, in which case I feel emotions that are similar to yours. And then I can understand you. And so when you go to a movie or you read a piece of literature, you focus on the protagonist or whatever, or the series of protagonists, and you identify their goals. And by identifying their goals, you can place yourself in the same state of mind that they are, and then you can embody their emotions. It's not a cognitive process, it's an embodied process, and then you can read off your emotions and infer what they might be thinking.
Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let us know what you thought down in the comment section below.